Good evening, everyone. We are here with today's sermon. So, all of you can settle down for the sermon and show your agreement with 3 rounds of sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katang lokang avekkantang Mogharaja napassati. Dear Venerable, dear Dhamma friends, what do you fear the most? When you are given that question, when somebody asks you that question, you might come into certain ideas, thoughts. Maybe some people would say they fear spiders, common fears. And maybe some people would say probably the dentist, visiting the dentist. That might be one of the fears. Or maybe public speaking. You get in front of a group and you get this inborn fear within you. Right? So we have various fears in our lives. And some of them, they are unique to us. We have unique fears. I fear this, I fear that. That way you might think. But what do you fear the most? That's an important question that we have to ask. And maybe you come up with the greatest fear. All of us, each and every one of us, will have to go through this fear one day. What is it? Death. Yes. So that is the greatest fear in our lives. And most of the time, we prefer being ignorant towards it. We prefer not thinking about it. We prefer postponing it. We see it in the surrounding. Daily we feel that other people are going through this fear, but we try to keep our eyes closed about it. We prefer ignorance towards it. But if you start thinking about this, if you start thinking about this experience, if you start exploring this topic, then that very exploration becomes spiritual. Even in many traditions, they have discussed this topic and they have explored it in different ways. Now, in this particular teaching that we have selected for the retreat, this question is presented to Buddha. And this teaching, you can find it in Sutta Nipata. Sutta Nipata, Parayana Vagga, Mogharaja Sutta. And in this Mogharaja Sutta, he is a Brahmin named Mogharaja, and he comes in front of Buddha and presented this question to him. And before we discuss about the question, it's important that we get an idea about Mogharaja as well. He is not a newbie. He is not a newcomer. Instead, probably many years of his own life, he has sacrificed for spirituality. Probably not under Buddha's guidance, but in some ways, he has explored this question. Death. And that exploration, after many years of that exploration, led him towards Buddha. So you have to understand, this person comes with a background. He comes with his issue of this life. He comes with his question of this life. And maybe for many decades, he has been pondering upon this topic. And that very journey has made him more spiritual. He has been searching for many decades, but couldn't find an answer. Death, how to escape it? How to avoid this unfortunate experience that all of us has to go through. So you can see how that question has been pondering upon him for many years, many decades probably. So with that background, Mogharaja, he comes to Buddha, this Brahmin, he comes to Buddha and he presents his question. And that is the Pali term that I have highlighted in the beginning. Katang lokang avekantang machuraja na passati. That's the question presented to Buddha. And if we translate it, we can say, how to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. How to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. How to look upon the world so you don't have to face death one day. That is the question he is asking. So he is asking how. He has been experimenting with this same question for many years, many decades, and finally he comes to Buddha with this question. Right? So this very topic, death, this one is spiritual, and not only in Buddhism, even in many other traditions, they have explored this particular topic. And in our lives, we prefer celebrating birth. We count our birthdays. We throw parties. But when you throw a party for your birthday, you have to understand, in a way, you are getting more and more closer to death. You don't know the exact time period. 1 year has passed. Another year has passed. That's the whole celebration. So probably it's better called a death day. Instead of a birthday, we celebrate a death day. We are getting closer and closer to that experience. Yes, that could be true. And let's say you ask someone, how are you doing? And that person answers you saying, I am dying. And when you hear that answer, it comes as a shock. You might interrogate them asking what has happened. Are you sick? Are you facing some trouble? That type of a questioning will follow. But you have to understand, when we say, I am dying, it is equally true as I am living. You can either say I am living or you can either say I am dying. Both the statements are true. Yes, so this type of a experience we encounter even in our daily lives. Let's say medical professions, their whole profession, their whole practice is about defying death. If they fail, then the death happens. That type of approach they have towards death. They don't acknowledge death. They prefer being ignorant towards it, and the failure will bring death. That's how they see it. But when it comes to certain medical professions, you can see they daily encounter this problem. Now, I was there in a session, and a doctor from cancer hospital, Apeksha, right? There is irony behind that word as well. He was presenting his experience about delivering this message to the patients. You are positive, cancer positive. How to deliver that message to the patients. And maybe many hundreds of patients he has encountered, and he is saying how they are reacting to it. The news that you have a cancer, the news that you are positive. So he is saying many people, they react to this message very aggressively. And he was sharing one of his experiences. The technician in the lab, he did something unnecessary, handing out the report. He said to this patient, you are cancer positive. You better go and meet the doctor quickly. That type of a message the technician gave. And this person, he was with his wife, and he kept his wife there, went to the 5th floor and jumped. Suicide. So that type of a news even you can't hear. You don't know what cancer, probably it is treatable, but still cancer. So our mentality, it's not ready even to listen that message. Yes, so that's how majority of the patients react to that news. You are cancer positive. And this doctor is saying, but some people, maybe like 10% of the people, they have acceptance. They accept this message. And although it comes as a shock, they are able to deal with it and continue the rest of the time peacefully, or more or less the same. So this doctor is saying, certain people, they have a quality and they can handle this type of a news. Even after getting delivered a news like that, they are able to manage their lives as usual. So this doctor, he is trying to say certain people have it. Most people, they don't. And he is identifying this quality as happiness. He is saying happiness is an inborn quality. People, most of the people, they are pleasure seeking. Pleasure seeking is in the outside world. Pleasure seeking is temporary. But some people, they have happiness. And the people with this quality, they can manage such a situation, and they can continue the rest of the time in their usual manner. So this doctor is also presenting a certain quality, but he is in blind about how to achieve it. He is saying how is not there. In his presentation, he is saying that there is this quality, some people have it, but he doesn't know how. Right? Again, the same question arises, how? The question that is presented to Buddha, the same question is there. How to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. Right? So that question is there. How to develop this quality, how to accept this reality. Yes, then when we think about philosophical ideas, certain people, they have discussed about this topic, and one of the most famous, Socrates, he argues about death. Even death is no match for his ability to argue. He is saying, death, you have two options. Either this is the end, you die and you go into more like a dreamless sleep kind of a situation. So no harm there. You can simply take a rest after dying. Then he is saying probably death isn't the end. Then Socrates is saying probably after dying you can meet the people who have died before, and it will be a good gathering for you. So he is giving this simple idea, trying to argue through death. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. In his own life, he also had to face the same situation. And it is said that he has faced that situation calmly. Death by hemlock. That's what he had to undergo. Right? So he is arguing whether this is the end or not. It doesn't matter. Both options, you can be peaceful. That type of approach he is taking towards death. Then Carl Jung, he is giving this interesting idea. He is saying death isn't the end. That's what Carl Jung is saying. He is saying there are peculiar faculties in our mind which are not bound to time and space. When you say time and space, that's here and now. That's what we are experiencing in this life. So Carl Jung is presenting this interesting idea. He is saying there are certain faculties of our mind which are not bound by time and space. And dying is more like disappearance of this time and space. But he is saying, since these peculiar faculties are available, death is not the end. He is arguing about it. He is saying only the ignorant people will say it's the end. So that's more about, psychological approach about death. This isn't the end. And when we talk about rebirth, most people, they have this romantic idea about it. Last life I was somebody. Last life I was Cleopatra, floating down Nile. So that type of a romantic idea is there about the past lives. But this very existence, it's not so comfortable, it's not so fun of a journey. Instead, the very existence, Buddha is saying, suffering. Death is not the end. Instead, the suffering continues. That's what Buddha is saying. And when it comes to suffering, most people have this idea of life being painful. But if you think about the word suffering, probably a better translation would be unsatisfactory. No matter how much you gather, no matter how much you do, still it is not enough. Let's say dealing with your spouses, you do so much, at least you think that you do so much. But no matter how much you do, still it is not enough. Let's say earning money, you do so much, you spend so many hours, but no matter how much you do, still it is not enough. You spend your time with children, you sacrifice your life for them, for many decades maybe even. But still, no matter how much you do, still it is not enough. So this very nature of unsatisfactoriness, that's the closest idea when it comes to suffering. Life is suffering. That's what Buddha is saying. And this whole process continues time after time. Birth and death. Those things continue time after time. I remember one time a lady, probably around 50 years or so, she came to do an offering, and while having a chat, I got to know that this person was suffering with cancer. And they said initially breast cancer. The breast was removed. Then the cancerous cells came to lungs, lung cancer. Then after that, it came to the blood, goes through the whole body. So 3 different cancers during maybe like past 4 years. Now what to say? Yes? How can you understand the mentality of such a person? So I said, what to do? This is life. So you better start some practice. At least do the walking meditation. And that would be better without thinking about illness. That's what I said. Then this lady was saying, Bhante, illness, I don't think about it too much. I don't think about illness too much, but I have a different problem which bothers me. Yes, so then I was shocked. After having 3 cancers, what is a greater problem that you could have? And this lady was saying, I have a 20-year-old son, and he is addicted to crystal meth. Yes? So how to explain that type of a situation? How to understand that type of a situation? Yes, so do you have to explain about suffering? Probably not. That person is experiencing the suffering. It's not the book suffering. The definition of the suffering that is given in the book. No, in our life, we experience a unique suffering. And that person, that is the reality. That is the suffering that has come to her. I remember one time a boy, he came to our monastery and he said, Bhante, I came to become a monk. He was probably like 20, 25 years old. Then I asked him, why suddenly you thought to become a monk? Then he was giving that, definition. He was saying, Bhante, life is suffering, no? So I thought I better meditate, I better become a monk. Then I told him, it's the book definition that you are telling me. That in that DhammaKusala Sutta, Buddha is giving the book definition. ජාතිපි දුක්ඛා, ජරාපි දුක්ඛා, ව්‍යාධිපි දුක්ඛෝ, මරණම්පි දුක්ඛං, අප්පියේහි සම්පයෝගෝ දුක්ඛෝ, පියේහි විප්පයෝගෝ දුක්ඛෝ, යම් පිච්ඡන් නලපති තම්පි දුක්ඛං, සංකිත්තේන පංච උපාදානස්කන්ධා දුක්ඛා. He is giving like 8 different types of suffering. So this boy was telling that. Then I told him, now that is the book definition. How did you experience suffering in your own life? What was your personal experience about suffering? Then he kept thinking for a while. Then he said, Bante, my girlfriend left me. Yes, so that is his experience of suffering. So all of us, we have our unique encounter with suffering. We have our unique encounter with death. And probably that's why we are here. Otherwise, if you haven't had that experience, if you haven't had that encounter, then probably you'll be somewhere else in a Friday evening, right? You'll be doing something else. Yes, so this very experience brought us here, this very experience brought us together. How to understand this? What is the secret behind this? How to avoid death that all of us has to face. So this how part is there in all the questions. When it comes to Mogharaja's question, he is asking how. Bante, how? When it comes to medical professions, when it comes to cancers, that doctor is unaware about how. When it comes to certain philosophies, they don't know how. When it comes to certain psychological ideas, they don't know how. Even when it comes to our unique personal experiences, we are still trying to figure out how. That's the whole question, that's the whole idea behind this encounter with Buddha. He's asking how to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. How to look upon the world so death won't see you. And some people, when it comes to the idea of death, they say that if death comes to me, I can manage. I can manage that situation. But if death comes to a loved one, a family member, then I won't be able to manage that type of a situation. Most people, they express this idea. I can bear me dying, but I can't bear my loved ones dying. That type of idea is given. So you say that if death comes to me, I am fine. But if death comes to my world, then I don't think I can bear it. That type of a statement is given. But you have to understand, death means not only your death. Instead, death means the death of your world as well. Whether the death comes to you or whether the death comes to the world, it is the same process. Your family members, your values, Certain things you have accumulated. If death comes to them, it is same as you dying. That's what happened to that lady. She has 3 cancers. On top of that, her child is addicted to crystal meth. So you can see the person is still breathing, but maybe like part of her world has already died. So when we go through the experience of death, it is not only me dying. That's not the case. Instead, along with me, my whole world is dying. That's the very idea behind this. That's why most of us struggle with this topic. That's why most of us can't handle it. The whole world is dying. And when I say world, don't think about the outside world. Don't think about the buildings, don't think about the vehicles. That's not the way. Instead, we have a unique world created in our own mind. We have given values to certain things. Maybe children, family members. That's a big part of your world. Maybe your work, that might be a big part of your world. Maybe certain titles, fames, that might be a big part of your world. So you have to understand, all of us, we have a unique world created, and that very world is dying. Let's say when you meditate, you can feel certain sounds, you are more or less neutral towards them. Certain thoughts, you are more or less neutral towards them. But once in a while, there's this sound that bothers you. Once in a while, there's this thought that bothers you. You don't have to meditate about the whole world. Majority of the world, you are already enlightened. But we have certain things that we have given more value. Those things come during the meditation. And that's where you have to meditate. Let's say there is this unknown person in Turkey. Right? You have no attraction, no attachment towards that person. Whether that person lives or dies, it doesn't matter to you. And let's say something happens, we say, poor people, many people have died. But are we really feeling it? No. But death comes to one of your loved ones. You will start screaming, you will start crying, you will start denying. All those reactions appear. So you have to understand, when we say the world, it is a unique world that we have created. According to our values, we have certain values. Let's say family members, we have given certain value to them. Even our problems, that's a part of your world. Even our enemies, that's a part of your world. By making an enemy, you have given a position in your world to them. You have given some value to them. Yes, so that unique world is dying. Even in meditation, that's the world that you have to meditate on. Even during today's discussion, we heard a couple of reports stating that family matters, children, these things come to my mind. So that's your world. That's why you have to let the mind get distracted in order to understand what are the values you have. The thoughts, they represent your values. Maybe work, maybe certain problems, maybe certain memories. So those are your world. Towards those things, you have certain kind of attachment. You are not attached to this outside whole world. That's not the case. Instead, you have created your own unique world in your mind, and that's where the attachment is. So death means the death of this world. Yes? So you have to understand, when we say death, it's not about this body dying. Instead, it is about this unique world that we have created. And that unique world is dying. In the known, this world is there. But when it comes to the death, all we know about is it's unknown. It's more like a bottomless pit. We don't know what's there. So in this known, we have our unique world. In the unknown, we have death. We don't know what's there. We are not familiar about it. So when it comes to meditation, the whole idea of meditation is simply to go from known to unknown. It's a journey from known to unknown. Usually we are familiar about the known places. That's where we have been for many decades probably. We are familiar about it. But unknown, we have a fear. This fear of unknown, that's the very fear of death. Our whole world is not there in the unknown. And in the process of dying, we grow from known to the unknown. Or from world to death. That's the whole journey. And let's say the meditation, you take breath as your primary object. When we say breath, you have to understand it's an indication of the world. When we say world, it is equal to breath. We have selected this one object which represents the world. And initially it is difficult for us to catch it. That's natural. We say this is our indication of the world, and we try to maintain our attention there. We try to keep attentive towards that object. Let's say walking the same, walking steps, that's your object. That's an indication of the world. So we pick this particular object and we try to maintain our attention with that object. And in the process, you can observe what is happening to this world. Otherwise, the breath. What is happening to breath? You start in a known place. The in-breath is there, the out-breath is there. That is a known place. That's where you start. And let's say gradually you keep observing the breathing. And gradually you can feel that the breath is becoming soft. That type of experience you might encounter. Initially, you don't feel that the breath is changing. But in your meditation advices, time after time, you are encouraged to observe whether the breath is changing. You have to have that type of attitude. You observe, you check whether the breath is changing. You keep an open mind and see how the breath is evolving. So that very journey is the meditation practice. And when we observe the breathing, naturally you start to feel that the breath is changing. Maybe 40 minutes into the sitting session, you come to see that the breath is starting to change. But when you start to see the change, it is becoming more and more rapid. The breath is changing even more rapidly. Yes, so that whole journey, that whole process, we are mindfully observing. And let's say towards the end of this, you can feel that the breath is disappearing. So you have started in a known place, a known object, and gradually you are directed towards unknown. And that unknown we fear in our minds. Most people, they start to feel certain like detoxing symptoms in their bodies. Sometimes they react to this situation. They become fearful that the breath is not there. They think they have died. Those type of internal reactions come. I remember maybe like few weeks ago, there was this retreat, I think 5-day retreat, and one of the yogis was sharing an experience, and that lady was saying, Bhante, in the sitting session, I got an heart attack. My chest was tightening, aching, paining, and I got up from the sitting session and was able to settle it, was able to manage it. So in the sitting session, I got an heart attack. That's what this lady was saying. And she was asking, Bhante, how to avoid an heart attack in the sitting session. Right? Imagine if it was a real heart attack, can you get rid of it by changing the posture? No, that's not possible. So you have to understand these are the internal reactions. When the meditation takes you from known to unknown, naturally your body becomes tightened. Naturally you start to feel certain pain, difficulties in your body. And you react to them, you say, I got an heart attack. So I told her, you have to welcome the heart attack. What would be a better time to die? You have accepted precepts, you are in a monastery, you are in a sitting session, meditation. What would be a better opportunity for you to die? Imagine being at home, having a fight with your family member. If you got a heart attack during that occasion, what will happen? Directly to hell. That's assured. Yes, according to your mentality, the next birth will be created. Right? So, during a fight, during a difficult mental situation, if you are going through that type of a experience, if you died, then probably your next life won't be good. Right? So I told her, welcome the heart attack. This would be the best opportunity for you to die. But meditators, they don't appreciate that. When they come to meditation, when they come to a retreat, they need so many assurances. They are asking, Bhante, do you have insurance? Bhante, do you have ambulance? Bhante, are there snakes in the forest? All these questions come. Yes, so they need a guarantee that they won't die. How to answer them? So we tell them we have no such assurances. There are snakes in the forest. No ambulances are available. Yes, no insurances are there. If you die, we have some great funeral directors. Who are they? The monkeys. Yes, not the black monkeys, the yellow monkeys. Yes, Rilau. They are great in that manner. They know how to do it. Funeral directors. What else can you tell them? Right? They want to meditate, but they need the assurance that they will live. But you have to understand the whole meditation, it's about dying. It's about dying before the death comes. It's a journey from known to unknown. That's the whole idea of meditation. So you start with this known place, you start with the breathing, and gradually you are directed towards the unknown. Initially you have these reactions towards them. But we encourage people for repetitive practice. Initially they become fearful. Bhante, I was dragged into some dark place. I was dragged into a bottomless pit. I feel fearful meditating because of this experience. But you have to tell them that very experience is unique. That very experience is important. Now next time you are better prepared. You have gone through that experience once. Now you are better prepared. You know such a thing might come. When the breath disappears, you feel like you are dragged into a dark place. Our whole idea is to become more and more familiar about that place. Not only once, not only twice, for many hundreds of times, we try to revisit that experience. Initially you have reactions, initially you feel fearful, but little by little you become more and more comfortable towards it. That's why repetitive practice, that's the key. Most people, they don't understand it. I can't emphasize it enough. Repetitive practice. That's the very idea. If you want to go from known to unknown, then every day try to approach this. Try to do a sitting session. Try to do a walking session. Approach your daily activities mindfully. Then again tomorrow, you do the same. Day after tomorrow, you do the same. That way, repetitive practice, that is the key. And it's okay, you live your life every morning for like 20-30 minutes, you sit in meditation. Go to work, deal with your other matters, that's fine. Again, come back home at the evening. Before bed, try to do a walking session. Again, starting early morning tomorrow, do a sitting session. That way you have to allow this practice to grow. You can't force it. It's like, supporting a plant. You water it, you plant it in a proper location where the fertilizer and sunlight is there, and you do your part. But you can't force it to grow. That's not happening. Instead, you do your part, you let it be. Again, tomorrow, you do your part, you let it be. That way, if you continue for few weeks, few months, then suddenly one day you realize the plant has grown so much. Many new branches are there. Yes, so that's the very idea. You have to support your practice like growing a plant. Every day do a sitting session, do a walking session. Approach your daily activities mindfully. That's all you can do. In a way, you are creating causes. You are creating causes for you to go from known to unknown. You can't force yourself to unknown. That's not possible. They have this quote. They say, jump between two thoughts and you will be ever peaceful. Jump in the gap in between two thoughts. But can you really do it? No, our mind bounce back. Even you can feel the same in between the in-breath and out-breath. You can't feel the gap initially. In the gap, you get a thought. That's how the mind works. But when you repetitively practice, naturally, the gap becomes more prominent. So you can see you are creating causes for your mind to go from known to unknown. Little by little, you are supporting that process. And naturally, when the proper causes are there, naturally the mind goes to that very unique experience. Even same happens in the walking. Initially, you can feel the touch points. The heel is touching, the ball of your feet is touching. That way you will say. But naturally, your mind slips into the points that are not touching. Some people, they will say, the arc of my feet, which is not touching, I feel that. The arc of your feet, that part is not touching. And you start to feel that in your meditation. We have this very nice activity in mindful school. Children, they usually color their feet with some food coloring and they walk on the A4 sheets. And you can see a mark of your feet. So, since you have coloring on your feet, certain parts are darker. Certain parts are lighter. Certain parts, no color is there. So the darker places are the places we usually feel. Initial attention goes to those darker places, the places with high pressure. Then you start to feel the lighter color places. They are touching, but they are not touching so strongly. And sometimes you feel the parts that are not touching. The arc of your feet probably isn't touching. So they even start to feel that in their meditation. So you have to understand how this journey continues from known to unknown. You can't force it. Instead, naturally, you have to create the causes. And when the causes are there, naturally your mind goes to such experiences. So this whole journey, it's about dying. The unknown is more like death. And that journey will evolve us. You start with so many fears. Some people, they can't even close their eyes for a short while. I remember one time a person was saying, Mante, as soon as I close my eyes, I feel this fear within me. I don't know what is the reason for that fear, but I don't like it. I can't stay in a sitting session. So they are asking whether it's okay to keep my eyes open. Yes, some kids do that, the same thing, At night they are fearful. They can't fall asleep. So they say, keep the lights on. Keep the lights on so I feel assured. I feel safe. So they are also asking, can I keep my eyes open in a sitting session? We say that's okay. You start wherever you feel comfortable. You keep your eyes open, you start your sitting practice. But gradually you have to go through this journey. Gradually you have to face your fears. You can't suppress them forever. That's not the case. In our meditation, we have to face these difficult experiences, and it takes time. It takes effort. But it's worth it. That's the whole idea. Gradually, we face our fears. We see how we become fearful in our mind for certain situations. Sometimes you recall your childhood memories. Maybe things like psychological wounds, they appear. Right? So it's a whole unique journey. Every day, meditation takes you through a new journey. It's not the same path. It's our stupid mind that expects us to go through the same path. But if you are open, if you keep your mind open, then you realize every sitting session is unique. Every walking session is unique. That very uniqueness we have to appreciate. That's the whole idea about this journey from known to unknown. And in your practice, let's say especially the daily practice, sometimes you can experience ego death. The practitioners, they try to experience ego death. Now let's say you get into certain arguments with people. You try to prove your point. What are you trying to achieve? Probably in your mind you know that this is not useful, but still you keep arguing. What are you trying to achieve? It's all about ego. You have to prove your point. I am right. That's the whole idea. But let's say for the sake of the practice, we tell surrender to a opinion that is not agreeing with you. You surrender to somebody else's opinion. You stay mute and not correct a person. In an argument, you accept the defeat. What is happening here? It's an ego death. These things we can experiment with. Initially we feel like if I don't correct them, the world will come to an end. That type of a feeling we have. But for the sake of the practice, we say, just take it slow and try to approach it differently. You don't have to argue the same way throughout your life. Instead, probably you can stay mute someday. Silence, that too a great answer for a question. Allowing people to manage their own karma. You feel like interfering, you feel like correcting them, but sometimes it's better to simply let them be. Can you change people? That's a difficult question. Especially when it comes to your children, you can feel this. You feel like you can change them. But towards the end, probably, you realize they are a unique person. No matter how much you try, they have developed into a unique person. That's more like some karmic force. So these occasions, we can really use our practice. We experience the ego death, the urge to prove your point, the urge to correct someone, the urge to win an argument. All these things, we can take them as a part of the practice, and each and every situation, we are experiencing a certain part of us dying. That's the whole idea. For the sake of the practice, we approach situations differently. We try staying mute. We try not answering a question. We try not correcting people. We try losing an argument. Right? So different ways you can implement the practice in your day-to-day life. Initially it is not easy. Initially there is this urge. But with repetitive practice, you can try various ways. You have to understand this practice, you have the freedom to experiment with it. Don't try to go and announce it to the outside world. That's not the case. Probably you can announce in an audience like this, and you approach your daily encounters and you can experiment with them. You can experiment approaching a situation in different ways. You can experiment approaching people different ways. You can experiment approaching your own thoughts, ideas in different ways. Usually we are creatures of habit. We have a certain thought process that we keep thinking our whole life. We have a certain way of thinking about things. We have a certain way of reacting. We have a certain way of dealing with other people. So we are creatures of habit. This path is so familiar. This circuit is so strong. But in the practice, we try to transcend this very circuit. We try to transcend our own unique habits. So this whole journey, it's going from known to unknown. This whole journey is about the death of your unique world. So today we have taken time to discuss only the question that is presented. Katang lokang avekkantam Mogharaja napassati. How to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. How to look upon the world so you don't succumb to death. That is the question that is presented. And tomorrow we can take time to discuss about Buddha's way of answering this question. With that, I'll conclude today's talk. May this talk be helpful to your practice.